I read somewhere where you mentioned that your father was somehow a victim of the criminal justice system. Thankfully, he got out, but it's not the same story for a lot of people. Some persons end up staying there 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, just waste their entire lives. They're waiting for the day that they will be sent to court, for someone to even hear them out for the very first time. Now, somehow, some people would turn that into hate and fear, and it will drive them further away from anything that concerns the criminal justice system around the world, not even Nigeria. But you turn that into love for helping people. How were you able to bridge the gap?
All right, thank you so much for having me once again and for that question. So my dad was badly impacted by the criminal justice system, and I would say I was also impacted by it because he was arrested, detained, and really tortured for a crime he did not commit. And it impacted on my family because he lost his job when he got out, and I had to stay out of school for about a year. So he was able to get out. I mean, there was a lot of demand on him, from bribe to not giving him access to justice, and it took the intervention of a distant relative of ours at the time, this was several years ago, for him to get out. So I remember back then he would often say that one of his child must become a lawyer.
Yes, out of the the agony that he had gone
his
through.
Experience. Yes. So one of his child must become a lawyer, and possibly a human rights lawyer. And I ended up being that child. And for me, it's very easy for me to do this work because I have a lived experience. I know how bad the system can be. I do know that the system badly impacts on people from very low socioeconomic means, poor people basically, because I mean, I've practiced law for about 11 years now, and I do know that different treatments occurs to people who are poor separate from people who are rich. So if you're rich, you have a better experience with the criminal justice system, and I wanted to use my career as a lawyer to provide a better experience for people who have no means to get legal representation.
That's interesting, a very, very fun one. Now, yesterday, The Guardian reported that we have about 54,124 inmates awaiting trial.
Absolutely.
Now, when I saw that number yesterday, I know how I felt. Remember when we had that panel discussion, and at the time, the Minister of Interior was looking at getting some inmates out of prison.
Yes.
Now, with that and with this current number, it feels like we just pour a drop of water in the ocean.
Yeah.
And, we continue to do that. But, does it... Do your efforts feel like it gets frustrated by the system?
Okay, thank you so
much.
You
feel that way? I want to know.
Yeah, so that number is quite interesting because I will start by saying over 11 years ago, the number was about 65%, because during my undergraduate studies, I actually wrote my thesis on prison reforms. Okay. So the number of awaiting trial inmates in the system were about 40-something, which is 65% of people in prison. And in the past 10 years, the number has increased. Currently, it's a 70% of people in prison are incarcerated. So that 54,000 that was mentioned is actually for every 10 person you find in prison, 7 of them are awaiting trial. Yes, so that's how bad it is, because currently the prison numbers are about 77%. So 54,000 out of 77%, 77,000 is 7 out of 10. So two things. First of all, when the minister came up with the idea last year, we thought it was a good one, but we did know that he was tackling this problem not from the root cause. He was just dealing with a symptom of the problem. There is a reason why there are a number of people awaiting trial, and it starts from the place of the police. It starts from the entry point into the system, and if nothing is done about that, we can keep providing short-term solutions that would not make any significant change. And back to my work, it actually impacts on the way we see our work, because when we initially started, we were very big on providing legal access, legal support to people in prison. But over time, we realized that we would continue doing that and no significant change is going to be done. So right now, we're really, really big. We still provide legal support as much as possible, but we're really, really big on addressing this from the root cause. So there are certain people, for instance, who can be diverted away from the system even before entry. They can be diverted at the place of the police through restorative justice or through other mechanisms. We also have alternatives to incarceration that can be used. So one of the things that we're really, really big on, in addition to the legal support work that we provide right now, is system change. Like, how do we make significant change in the system? How can we work with the police and other law enforcement officers to ensure that people who have no business being there at all don't even come into the system?
That's it.
Yeah, so that's something that we're really, really big on, because the truth is, as long as we keep providing solutions at the correctional facilities, I mean, we've engaged with them, and oftentimes they will tell you that their mandate is to receive people.
Okay.
So they would not reject. I mean, as long
as that's their mandate.
Yes, it's as long as there is a remand order and the person is above 18, they would always receive. Even though I would say, I mean, in recent times we found a lot of juvenile persons in prison who have no business being there. But the correctional facility, their mandate is to receive. So the question as to why do we have a large number of awaiting trial inmates is, you know, from the angle of the police and the angle of the judiciary. Okay,
that's good. It's still Classic FM 94.3 Abuja, the station that plays every song, you know. Now, Hope Behind Bars, how old is it? About 5 years,
yes,
right?
5 years.
Now, I know that you've rescued over 400 innocent, you know, inmates from prison since inception. But my question is, right now, will be, what are the, you know, major challenges you go through as an organization in helping these inmates get out?
Okay. I mean, I would say the initial challenge initially was getting lawyers to assist, because currently we are in about 12 states. And so when the work was just in FCT, it was very easy. But then when we had to expand, because people would reach out to us, oh, I have someone in Lagos and all of that. Yeah, so it was a little bit challenging, because we had to get volunteer lawyers and then manage them in some way. But I mean, we were able to sort that out through, you know, technology and all. But I would say that the other challenge, which has been major for us, is, again, oftentimes the people that we work with are indigent persons, poor people who, I mean, some of them don't have relatives, they don't have anyone. I mean, if they had people, they would have probably had lawyers. So when we provide access to justice to them and they are acquitted, for the ones that are acquitted, it's always challenging when they come out, because most times we have to provide transportation reimbursement for them. We have to come up with questions of what can we do to ensure this person doesn't go into crime or this person doesn't reoffend. And for us, we are big on that, because I mean, we are Hope Behind Bars. We're not just all about providing legal support. We're very big on reducing recidivism, reducing crime rates. And you would agree with me that crime has really increased.
Oh yes,
you know,
with the current economic situation.
So imagine what it is like for someone who went to prison about 2 or 3 years ago, when dollar was just about $4.50.
My goodness.
Yes, and now we know what dollar is saying. So that is a major challenge for us. Like, how are we certain that this person, when they come out, they would not revert to crime? Or even, you know, for the ones, because we have people who are innocent, you know, because they can't make their ends meet. I mentioned earlier that my dad lost his job when he got out.
He had a job.
Yes, he lost his job, and you know, he had to make ends meet, doing manual work and all of that. But some of the people that we get out, I mean, it's really just hard to track, you know, what they are doing. So recently we had to, in addition to our legal support work, start to provide interventions that would help provide some behavioral change support while they're in prison, vocational skills to the women. We do a lot of good work for women. I mean, we're celebrating women this month. Yes, so maybe we'll come to that. We do a lot of good work with the women, and then just provide some form of support for them, so they can even generate revenue, so provide income for them while in prison, so when they come out, they are not just liabilities. So we are able to work with the correctional facility through the Inside Out Hub, inside prison, inside the correctional facility, I beg your pardon, and outside when they come out. And for us, we think that is the key meat of the work, because I just said it used to be prison, but with the Nigerian Correctional Service is now correction. So we need to make sure they're really corrected
before they come out, and you know, be integrated back into the society, which is the goal. Since we're celebrating women, how does Hope Behind Bars work with women who are inmates?
Okay. I mean, first of all, our team, we're very big on the core number. I mean, we have more women on our team. And then in terms of the inmates, like I mentioned earlier, we find that women, you know, I mean, women are always nurturers and carers, and even while in correctional facility, they still provide that sort of care. So, you know, we engage with them, and you know, they are asking for money to call their children and all of that. So when we were going to start our empowerment intervention, we started with the women. We started with the women because we know, I mean, that if you give a woman bread, she's going to make something out of it. I'm not saying that's not the case for the men, but we just know that it's different with the women. So when we launched Made in Correction sometime in 2020, where women made items that were sold.
That's good.
Yes, and they were paid for it.
Yeah, you mentioned.
And then currently, as I'm speaking, we are renovating the tailoring, the vocational skills workshop for the women facility in Suleja Correctional facility, where the women would also upskill. Because the good thing is that we run a trainers model where some of the inmates who were there in 2020 are still there. They would further train the new inmates. They produce bags, they produce things that you and I can actually use.
Wow.
And maybe I should also announce that we actually created an e-commerce website to sell items made by these women.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Yes. And
what's the website? If you can let us know, I'll be very happy.
Oh, okay. We've not launched it
okay,
yet.
not yet.
Yes,
okay, please, when you do, please
yes.
let us know. Absolutely.
Yes,
sure,
yes,
why not?
yes. And we're hoping to do an exhibition of the things that they make.
Wow.
Actually, this month, it's Women's Month, so
I will let you know. Don't worry. Like, I'll be on her tail. I'll let you know.
yes. So we do phenomenal work with the women. Last year we had this choir behind bars project where we worked with the inmates. You know, they produce some songs during the Independence Day, and you need to see their hope. Like, it's interesting because when you interact with them, they actually give you more hope than you who is outside.
Wow.
Yes.
Knowing that they can find joy in a place like this.
Absolutely. And then we actually have women in prison who have children. While children in the cell with them, pregnant women, and so we also provide welfare intervention to them, because ideally they should have a separate place that they stay. But I mean, the facilities are really small in the correctional facilities where we work, so we also try to provide some intervention, antenatal support care to them for the children, some form of welfare support to them. Yeah, that's about it.
Wow, that's really interesting. I'm so happy hearing all of this from you. Well, as we begin to wrap up, it's still focused on her right here on Classic FM 94.3 Abuja. We'll be speaking to OluwaFunke Adeoye, who is the Executive Director, Hope Behind Bars, and we're celebrating her International Women's Week, International Women's Day. We're celebrating OluwaFunke Adeoye. She's been doing massive work with pretrial detainees and also inmates, behind bars at our various correctional centers in Nigeria.